10 a.m. Just left the hotel. So, as I think I mentioned, I am doing a couple of hikes on the way home. Home is about 1,000 kilometers, 600 miles away. It's a city that's very far away from this place, so I decided to do a couple of hikes on the way there. First one's gonna be starting at this country town called Bendigo, which luckily there's a train which goes to, so I'm catching that. Just got my Mikey card to go to Bendigo. It's a bit sad that this transport network hasn't actually modernized to take normal credit cards yet, like Sydney has, Adelaide has, but it is what it is. Train's leaving pretty soon, so that's pretty cool. Won't have much of a wait. Let's go. So this is the Victorian train network, bus network. I'm here right now. And then I'm taking the train right now to Bendigo. I'm walking down here. And then I'm taking another bus out to Dunkeld. And then I'm walking here to the Grampians, and then I'm going home. So I'll make my way there, slowly.
Woodend station, our next stop. Now approaching Woodend, thank you.
Relaxing in the park with this lemonade and this massive bar of chocolate. I really haven't given these Australian country towns enough credit. This place is nice. So, I've done my shopping. I've done my little tourism in Bendigo. It's a really, really nice town. And now I'm here, so I have the app on my phone, Far Out, which I've been using for all my trails this year. And there's not very much on this trail on Far Out. There's very few icons or anything like that, but that said, it indicates this place exactly as being the beginning of the Goldfields track. It's the Goldfields track, 200 kilometer, 120 mile hiking and biking route. I don't really know too much about it. There's a good website for it online. I haven't really done too much research, so I'm just going to start this thing and figure things out. Right now, though, it bears importance that there are no signs or anything of that kind pointing toward this trail. So there's not really any acknowledgement of the trail's existence, which makes me wonder if the official beginning of this trail is somewhere else. Alright, so you already have the first official acknowledgement that this trail exists, very much within sight of the train station right down there. I'm really hoping to do a decent job documenting this for you guys. Right now it's brilliant weather. It's September the 12th and it's about 15 degrees, expected to go to about 0 degrees tonight. After all this horrible Appalachian Trail and Appalachian Range stuff we've been on this year with all these ups and downs, I kind of had a laugh when I saw the elevation profile of this trail. It's rated for bikes, to be fair, but it's essentially dead flat, super easy. The original concept for this thing was as a trail that spanned the Great Dividing Range, which is Australia's largest mountain range, although this is not exactly the highest part of it. But they renamed it the Goldfield Track while they were developing it for mountain bikes. Let's go eucalyptus forest walking. 200 kilometers to Ballarat. So for my research, I think this is what to expect for the entire trail, just these very open forests, relatively low hills, lots of towns. You see the soil couldn't be more different from the AT. It's all this very, very hard clay and rock. There's a reason why freestanding tents are popular in Australia. you don't really see that many trekking pole tents. So here's some Australian history, which I've heard a couple of times. In Australia, there wasn't that much of a population of Europeans for a long time after the British landed in 1788. But it really exploded after around 1850, and that's because of a gold rush right in this region. So you had people creating these slag mounds like that and digging these trenches and embankments all through the hills, all through the countryside. And as a result, Australia got much richer, got completely rid of the convicts. Like, the British just stopped sending them over after Australia started finding gold. And you have all these pits like this and these mounds like this everywhere in fields in this part of Victoria. There isn't a single official campsite on this route. It's mainly meant for day hikers. So as a result, I'm going to be doing every night on the route as either a camp at a caravan park, or more likely as a, I wouldn't quite say a stealth camp. I would say it's more like dispersed camping. In many places, it's probably not allowed. But that said, I find that quite often in reserves like this, it's like, if someone were to find you camping, then they wouldn't really care. It's really neat to see this stuff. This is basically the place where the modern country of Australia started. This is what the walking surface has been like for most of the afternoon. In case you're not Australian or haven't walked outside too much, this is a fire trail. There are a lot of these in reserves which are relatively close to towns like this one, just to, prevent fires, make sure people can manage backburning and stuff like that. So here I am, late evening, still on trail, and I was fully expecting to just try and stealth camp, try and find any flat space I could to pitch my tents, but it turns out there actually is a camping area here. There actually is a camping area for this trail, so that kind of caught me by surprise. And I think I'll use it because I've already done 20 kilometers. I'm pretty happy with today. It's all been pretty samey, by the way, just quite nice forest, very good trails, very flat. Anyway, it's time for me to go to sleep. Morning, it's 8:30 on day 2 of the Goldfields trek. Ready to smash out everything I can get through today. Probably about 40 kilometers or so. Here's some really unexpected trail infrastructure. It seems like they've put more effort into this than I thought they would have. And check that out, those waterworks over there. There's been a lot of history on my hike. And there's this little aqueduct I've been following for a while, just continuing uphill. So it turns out there are some actual trail sections which aren't shared by bikes. Nice view from this one. This hill kind of caught me off guard. It reminds me a lot of the highest point in Alabama, Mount Tiaha. And it's a filtered view, but through the trees the view looks pretty nice. I'm pretty sure there's more of these on the trail too, but I don't really think there's too many. Look at how flat that whole place is. Just all the way out. Lots of nice big trees around here. And cockatoos. Yeah, just there through the trees. I needed water, so I deviated from the hiking version of the Goldfield track to get to the biking version of the Goldfield track so I can get to town. How's that for a quarry? Anyway, I've just finished the bike diversion and pretty soon I'll head back into the woods. So apparently that quarry where I just walked past was the start of Australia's gold rush, the first place where they found gold, back in 1851. Massive gold rush really changed the history of Australia. Going through some forestry plantations. Some people hate them, but I think they're good for a change. In case you're wondering, I've met some people walking their dogs, but apart from that, this trail has been pretty empty. No one going long distance, not even cyclists. I've just finished walking about 40 Ks. I was gonna walk another 5, my feet feel good for it, but I was kind of prevented to by the water situation. There's just no water on this trail. I mean, there is some water, there's puddles and stuff, but I don't really have any filter. So there's not really a way I can drink it safely. So as a result, I'm kind of relying on towns, and if I skip this following town, then that's going to cause issues for me. If I do walk into it today, then I will not have time to walk out before it's pretty much time for bed. So as a result, I think I'm gonna set up early here. I might end up finishing the trail a day later than I would have otherwise as a result, but I think it's a good payoff. This way I'll see Castlemaine in the daylight, which is gonna be a nice trade-off. I have to say I'm really impressed by just how much history there is on this trail, how much evidence of mining there is. I mean, the Goldfields track kind of indicated that, like the name did, but I really didn't think it was going to be that much more than a name. And check this out, I'm in this big mine with all these shafts looking down into nowhere. I think I've pretty much collapsed at this point, but yeah, it's seriously cool. I thought that thing was short. I would not be getting back up very fast if I fell down that. That's actually pretty deep. Monument to Broken Wills. It was actually a pretty interesting disaster. That whole expedition died on the way back, but they did cross the continent. Well, Castlemaine's nice. It has an awesome supermarket. There's the continuation of the Goldfields track. I think it's like 5 degrees centigrade with wind chill, so it's only gonna get colder too because it's like noon now. I have to say I've been really impressed by this trail so far. I really wasn't expecting it to be this consistent, to just be single track or forest trail the entire time. Like, I think the longest road walk I did on this trail so far, that wasn't on the cycling version of the trail, that was on the hiking trail, was probably around 1 or 2 kilometers, not much more than that. It really has been very consistent. I've been on this trail for about 80 kilometers now, and I still haven't encountered a single person with a backpack on, much less an overnight pack. And I haven't encountered a single cyclist either. So that really shows that people who do long distances on this trail are rare. I have seen a lot of locals use it, so it's going to some purpose, but yeah, it's quite empty. It's a good trail. I think it deserves more traffic. Lots of history, very easy. Place called Spring Gully. There's a lot of orienteers around. There's an orienteering event. Lots of people walking around looking confused with maps. I'm just checking out these mines. Lots of old stonework. And a pretty nice view over this gully. This thing kind of looks like one big slag heap. I was just told that the event happening around here is not just orienteering, it's rogaine, which is awesome. Rogaining is like probably my favorite competitive sport of all time. It's pretty much a competition where people walk around in this huge area and try to get as many of these checkpoints, as many of these locations as possible within, it's usually as low as 3 or 4 or 6 hours, but quite often it's around 24 hours. Really fun sport. So here's another place where the cycling route diverges from the walking route. It's kind of annoying, honestly, that my app doesn't actually show both, it just shows the cycling route. I think that these two routes only diverge about 4 times though, based on the maps I've seen. Here's even more ruins, and this is what really surprised me. This is the first seriously flowing creek I've seen on this entire trail. Really flowing well. I have seen on some signs that there are some pretty big springs around here, so that explains something. This wind isn't the best for the trees. I didn't catch it on camera, but I literally watched that thing fall. So I'm a bit worried. One moment it's sunny, next moment it's hailing on me, and then another moment it's hailing on me and it's sunny at the same time. I'm pretty sure it's just volatile Victorian weather. There's a saying that if you don't like the weather in Melbourne, just wait for 30 minutes. I just set up my tent. I had to do it in freezing rain, which is pretty much just hypothermia conditions when it's like 5 degrees centigrade and the rain's coming right down on you. I've done 90 kilometers of the trail, 110 to go, 120 to go, something like that. All right, let's see what this is for. The trail goes straight to it. This stuff is absorbing. I think that's a good way to describe it. Absorbing. More mineral springs. And there were more taps as well. I was really worried about water on this section, but I really didn't need to be. This is Dalesford, and like all the trail towns on this trail so far, it's a very, very nice town. Looks like there's a great bakery here, but I decided not to stop here. That way I can save some more money for some nicer bakeries further afield. I'm on the top of the Continental Divide now, so I'm pretty sure this is just about the highest points of my journey, not counting the mountains I'm climbing. And the forest has just completely changed. Much taller trees. Just finished another day. It was very cold. The coat didn't come off all day, neither did the hat. Just set up beside the trail. It's in the middle of nowhere. And this forest has changed a lot. Like, before I couldn't get my tent pegs in basically any night, not perfectly. This time it was super easy to get my tent pegs in, so the soil has changed as well. And it's going to be interesting to see if it keeps on changing tomorrow. Anyway, good night. Nice blood-colored tree right here. Lots of sap going from it. I think videos are going to be fairly limited today just because my phone is very low on battery and I don't really have any battery left in my power bank. I think I'll get to the next town and have dinner, charge it up. But the next town is a while away, so I'm just going to keep on plugging through this forest. You haven't really missed much. I did pass some mine shafts and I also passed an old tramway, an old railway cutting, which was pretty interesting. Walking into Creswick right now. There's the St. George's Lake. It's been a lot like this all day, just all this dreary walking. There's been some single track and some more quiet road, but there's also been a bit of genuine road walk, the first on the entire trail. Made it 35 kilometers to Creswick. I'm now sitting in the library, which is amazingly enough open for the next 40 minutes. And because the weather's terrible outside, I'm just gonna stay inside, until it closes. The Goldfields track is actually split up into 4 different tracks, as I think I've mentioned. I'm just about to start the very last one, which is also the very shortest one. 40 kilometers to go. I might finish tomorrow. I just got this. This came from the IGA, but it actually also came from a local bakery, which I'm walking past tomorrow. Life is good. It's been a kind of a miserable day, but life is. Just charged my phone at the Ballarat Library. Really nice library, very large, very clean. Lots of government services in town, lots of government offices like you see behind me, and is also over there across the street. It's really clear that there's a lot of government investment out here in Ballarat. They're really trying to make the country a more livable place. Although it's not really working too well. It feels like people are still moving away. There's a lot of older people here, not so many younger people. So now I've made it to the town of Ballarat, which is much bigger than I was expecting. There's even like 2 McDonald's here. There was not a single McDonald's in any of the towns on the way. Now that I've made it, it's all going to be about trying to get to Buninyong, which is the next town, and Mount Buninyong, which is above that town, which is the end of this hike. So that's only 15 kilometers away, but it's going to take almost until sunset to reach it. Gold was so important in this town that they built a monument to it. I was going to visit the Eureka Stockade itself, but it's a bit far out of town and they turned it into a museum, and I don't really feel like going to a museum right now. Maybe some point in the future. That's the Eureka Stockade flag. It was the first Australian flag to be flown with the Southern Cross back in 1854, I think. And the first place it was flown was right here in town. Really shows how deep a history this place has. And I really feel that history. I just double-checked maps, and even though there's no signs, apparently this is the Goldfields track. I guess past Ballarat, there's just no reason for a lot of people to do it. Like, a lot of people like to do it railway station to railway station, Ballarat to Bendigo, or vice versa. So why would they start at Mount Buninyong? That's my guess, at least. There's a star on the Welcome to Ballarat sign, and there's a Southern Cross flag on the university. They really care about this history. Welcome to Geelong. Welcome to Buninyong. That is Mount Buninyong right there, so that's the end of my hike. Walking now through the Buninyong Botanical Gardens, apparently some of the oldest in Australia. Pretty nice gardens. It's a good way to cap off the day. I'm going to spend the rest of the evening road walking to Mount Buninyong and the end of the trail, where I'm going to camp and worry about everything else in my life tomorrow morning. I'm on top of the observation tower now of Mount Buninyong. This is the end of my hike. I have just finished the Goldfields track. I can just see the light of Melbourne out there, biggest city in Australia, about 2 hours distance by train, and that right there is Ballarat, the town I just came from, and then Buninyong, the much smaller village, is just over there. So it's a good view. I might go back here tomorrow morning. I think I'm just going to camp just down there, essentially at the base of the tower. And I really hope my phone doesn't die before I get some more money into my transportation card, because I need that money to get off this mountain tomorrow. Made it. Tomorrow I'm going to start a much harder trail, which is roughly the same distance, and I'm hoping to get through that in a shorter time, but we'll see if I get through that. Good night. Thank you for watching.